Good evening, everyone. How you doing? So today I'd like to make a video happily responding to a request that someone had. Earlier today, they were asking me about, gym motivation and consistency, and they sort of were wondering if I would make a video on the topic. And I thought to myself, why not? Perfect. Like I said in the previous video, I would be happy to consider any questions that people have and make videos based on those sort of questions and comments. So I've got a few notes behind me here, as I usually do on our trusty notepad. And I want to share my perspective on why someone like myself and others are able to stay consistent, truly consistent with the gym, and seem to have permanent motivation. Now, there are far more facets to this that we could dive into, but I don't want to make this a, 1 to 2 hour video. So I'm going to talk about what I think are the most important factors for me personally that come to mind when I'm asked a question like this. And I think first and foremost, gym motivation and consistency boils down to priorities. All of us have priorities, whether we realize it or not, and it just depends on which priorities make it to the top of the list and which ones sort of fall by the wayside. Second thing is sort of this idea of, it sounds silly, I guess, to say this, to use this term in this context, but it's kind of a matter of self-respect, or at least respecting the body that you have the sort of privilege to have and go about life with. At least that's kind of how I look at it. And this sort of leads a little bit into point number 3, which I have behind us here, which is that I feel like I have a bit of a superpower. It's kind of a secret superpower. I don't really usually talk about this. When I was younger, in my teenage years, sort of mid to late teenage years, I would start to look around me and see that some people had, physical disabilities or, mental disabilities. Obviously, you see these things when you're a little kid, you see them from a very young age, right? You always see inevitably people who suffer from these things. But what I mean to say is that when I was a teenager, I started to look at this differently. Some people don't have the ability to exercise the way that sort of an able-bodied person can. And I genuinely look at exercising as a privilege, and I don't think most people do. I really don't. I think I would say I'm in the minority when it comes to that. I truly, truly, every day, when I wake up and I go about my day and before I go to bed, basically it's like a part of my thought process that it has been a privilege to be able to go about my day with no physical disabilities. And it would be a true shame to not exercise as consistently as I reasonably can when I have the ability to do that and not everyone does. I do sort of think about those things in the back of my mind. I sort of have a permanent baseline of gratitude. And I think when you have that as part of your operating system, you are compelled. And then lastly, maybe less importantly, I do keep in mind the profound and various benefits of exercising consistently. And when you recognize the true benefits of that, it's hard to uh, steer far away from it, because why would you logically forego so many profound benefits of exercising consistently? So, you have to, and if you are having trouble with being consistent in the gym, you genuinely should be asking yourself, are you actually acknowledging the benefits that you would be getting from that, and what are you trading it off for? Like, what are you getting out of not going to the gym? What is it that you are engaged in that is replacing your time exercising? It doesn't have to necessarily be in a gym, right? But you know what I mean when I say that, right? What are you doing instead of exercising a few times a week? What are you spending that time doing, and what is it doing for you? Chances are pretty strong that it's not giving you the benefit in your life that exercising would, right? You should probably sit with that. So with that being said, I hope those of you who are listening found something valuable in this sort of train of thought. And again, I want to thank the person who asked me the question and sort of sparked me making this video on this topic. And I'd be happy to make many more. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free. Looking forward to that. Have a good night. I hope you're doing well. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.